Just put out our budget proposal. The contrast between the Democratic budget proposal and the Republican proposal is glaring. The Republicans want the same old status quo, rising costs, declining health care. Democrats want to meet people's needs by improving health care and lowering costs in health care and many other places. And Donald Trump continues to push for a shutdown by not negotiating with us. But we are confident when the American people contrast these two proposals, they're going to side with us. They're going to tell Republican congressmen and senators that they should start talking to the Democrats, because we are talking about what people need. Same old story, same status quo. People are not happy. Something like 38% of Americans think America's on the right track. This budget doesn't put them on the right track. Their budget doesn't put them on the right track. Ours does. And we just welcome the contrast. We're very, very pleased when people look at our budget and theirs. Okay? Yes?
It seems like Republicans have already outright rejected the idea of your plan. Are you willing to shut the government down?
Ask the Republicans if they're willing to shut the government down. That's where they're headed.
Leader Chuck.
The amount of money for member security is much higher on your bill than it is for the Republicans' bill. Why is it that different?
The Senate believes we have to make our senators, Democrat, Republican, everybody secure, and we put up a strong proposal to do that. We'll see what the House does.
Senator, how much of the Medicaid funding would your bill restore?
Our bill would restore all of the Medicaid funding. That's what the American people want. We'll sit down and negotiate, if they will sit down and negotiate. We don't have a red line, but we know we have to help the American people. We know that our bill does. We know the American people will reject the status quo embodied in the Republican bill.
If they just give you a commitment to work on some of these issues, like an extension of subsidies, would that be enough for you all to vote for?
Well, look, we have 2 weeks. They should sit down and talk to us, and we maybe can get a good proposal. Let's see. But when they don't talk to us, there's no hope of getting a good proposal. And that makes no sense. And again, when Donald Trump says, don't negotiate with Democrats, because he doesn't know what the Senate is like, or he doesn't know how to count. Because without Democrats, they're going to end up shutting down the government. Last one.
How much does the permanent extension of Obamacare subsidies cost? Isn't this hundreds of billions of dollars?
Look, it's a very important thing for people. And if you don't extend the Obamacare tax credits, people's premiums are going to go up $400, $500 a month, and they're going to start learning about that when they get the notices in October. Since you left Buffalo Night, did you leave Buffalo Night?
Yes.
Then you get the last question.
Thank you so much.
I was at Buffalo Night and presented the Charging Buffalo Award, and we led the chant of "Squish the Fish."
Got it. Thank you.
Got it. Is that enough?
No. So Leader Thune has been very public about inviting you to his office, saying to give you a call. You can give him a call.
Give me a
Have you
break.
done that?
For 2 months, Leader Jeffries and I have asked them to come negotiate. He is the leader. He has not asked us to negotiate at all. And why? We didn't know. Why wouldn't they sit down? And then it became clear, because Donald Trump told them not to. And even though that's bad for the American people and bad for them, because it's going to end up that they're shutting down the government, they're just too afraid of Trump. Mr. President, yesterday, Speaker Johnson and House Republicans released a partisan CR that failed to meet the needs of the American people. Republicans have been calling their bill a clean CR, but clean is the wrong word. It's a partisan bill. It's had no input from Democrats. And most importantly, because it's had no input from Democrats, it's a status quo bill. It's a status quo bill. Americans don't want the status quo. With tens of millions being kicked off health insurance, with health care premiums set to skyrocket next year, with people paying more for groceries, for energy costs, for rent, and struggling because of Donald Trump's tariffs, people need help. That's what they're telling us from one end of the country to the other. They're not happy with the way direction America is going. American people want their leaders to address their needs, and that's just what Democrats are fighting for. The last thing the American people want is a status quo bill that continues the chaos and high cost of the last 9 months. But the Republican bill, not only is it partisan, but it's a status quo bill. It changes nothing. It continues the chaos and high costs of the last 9 months. And Democrats say, no way. We need to answer people's needs. When they tell us prices are going through the roof, when they tell us their health care is at risk, they want us to be there. And so we need to sit at the table and talk to our Republican colleagues so the American people's needs can be taken into account in a bipartisan negotiation. But the Republican CR is certainly not the right answer. And Republicans are causing a shutdown, creating it, by negotiating, by not negotiating, and by not being willing to answer the country's needs. The American people deserve better than the Republicans' failed agenda. They deserve better than keeping the status quo, because there's been such damage done in the last 9 months. Soon, Senate and House Democrats will release our own proposal to keep the government open with a short-term extension that properly meets the needs of the American people. Our bill will represent the right path to avoid a shutdown crisis, by addressing health care costs and cuts, by preventing premiums from going up, by restoring and extending congressional funds for things like NIH that Donald Trump and Russell Vought are illegally halting. Once both sides put forth proposals, and ours will be coming shortly, Republicans will face a choice: to keep following Donald Trump into a reckless shutdown that he seems to want, or to finally come to the table and work with us. Remember, it takes 60 votes to get anything passed in the Senate. That means Democratic input is a necessity to improve the lives and lower costs for the American people, because Republicans are not doing a thing to make things better. This is not optional, it's necessary. Republicans know that. And yet, Donald Trump has told Republicans, don't even bother, he said, don't even bother negotiating with Democrats, and they have unfortunately, dutifully obeyed. By not even bothering to talk to Democrats, Republicans are paving the road that leads to a shutdown. That's deeply troubling for the American people. They expect Donald Trump and Republicans to do their jobs and to address their needs, and to keep the government open by working like adults with the other side, not just saying it's my way or the highway, particularly when their way represents a status quo that the American people abhor. And mark my words, the American people will blame Donald Trump if a shutdown happens. Finally, I'll say it again because it's important. Democrats don't want a shutdown, but Republicans cannot shut Democrats out of the process and pretend like the last 9 months have been business as usual. There's nothing business as usual about kicking 16 million people off health care. There is nothing business as usual about Donald Trump illegally stealing and canceling federal investments improved by Congress, even for NIH research, which may save children with cancer's lives. There is nothing business as usual about Donald Trump tearing up budgets, ignoring the law, picking winners and losers for things as vital as disaster relief. Republicans know that these abuses can't just continue as if everything is just fine. Everyone knows that Americans are frustrated with the status quo, frustrated with costs going up and up and up, frustrated with Donald Trump injecting so much chaos into their lives. And Republicans think that's okay? No questions asked? No negotiation or discussion? Give me a break. In the Senate, it takes 60 votes. So that means Republicans will need to work with us. If they can't even bother to have a conversation with Democrats, it's Republicans then, who American people will know, are causing the shutdown in 2 weeks. We still have some time. I pray it doesn't happen.